I'm the computer man. I'm the Macintosh man with the virus scan. Moving your files all across the land. Some Photoshop filters in After Dark. Get your Microsoft Office Express, your Quark. Millions of colors with a VRAM chip. How about a system crash that'll make you flip? I'm the computer man. I'm saying Windows 95 is plug and play. If it's fonts you want, you gotta go to Macway. Log right on as my personal guest. You'll have Macintosh software on your desk. Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best. I'm the computer.
Good evening, K-Squid listeners. Good evening, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Central Coast, and beyond. My name's Luigi Oppido, owner-operator of Pleasure Point Computers, right by the beach here in beautiful Santa Cruz, California. And for the next hour, I am your tour guide into a world of wonder, magic, information, and a lot of frustration. That's right, we're talking about the internet and the world of computing. I am your computer man. Welcome to one of those helpful, friendly tech counters I hope you've ever visited. I'd like to welcome you to your Tuesday night, to your local station, your local Santa Cruz station, K-Squid, KSQD, 90.7 FM, and online also at ksqd.org, while we are also broadcasting at KSQT down in Prunedale at 89.5 and 89.7. Also, if you're driving up the coast, like driving north on Highway 1, hit those 89.5, hit 89.7. You can keep listening to K-Squid all the way up the coast. It's really cool. But also online at ksqd.org, as well as our new app in the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. Check it out. Just search for KSQD and download any of our shows. And download the app, and you can listen to any of our shows, as well as our podcasts, and write back to us on our voice pop-up function. It's super cool. But welcome. Tuesday night. Time to talk computers for the next hour here on the Computer Man Show. At any point, you're saying to yourself, wow, this guy's gone a little bit quick. How am I supposed to get all these steps down? Well, I actually had a client come in today and start off by telling me I was talking too fast and I just need to slow down. Well, I've been told that for so long, and it doesn't seem to happen. So I'm trying my best. But at the best time right now, what you can do is, if you've heard us in the last 2 weeks and you'd like to listen again, jump onto ksqd.org and you can click on our listening tab. Under there, we have our 2-week audio archive, and you can listen to any of our shows from the past 2 weeks. If you're curious about the Computer Man Show, you can always jump on Apple Podcasts, and we are a podcast now. I think there's about 6 or 7 episodes up now, including tonight's episode will be up shortly afterwards. And check it out there. You can subscribe, download, leave a little review, join, and all sorts of good stuff. What am I supposed to say? Like and subscribe or something? I don't know. Never been into that whole, push my channel stuff. I just want people to be able to listen and have good advice and have a place that they can ask a question without feeling threatened. And that's what we're all about here at the Computer Man Show. If you're on the KSQD website, checking out the amazing things as well as our listening tab and just seeing what's going on here at the station and around town and going on at that, here at K-Squid, hit that big red button at the bottom. If you like what you're seeing, that is the reason we are here. You. That's right. We can only be here because of you, and we don't want to do it any other way. We don't want to go out to corporate sponsorship or have some weird things like that. No, we want to be here for you, our community. And that means anyone who's listening to KSQD. That means that you can click on that button, give your fair share, what you feel is your fair share, and tell us what you love about K-Squid. Tell us what you love and why you keep coming back, why you listen to the station, why it's so close to you, because it's so close to me, and I really am just a volunteer, just one tiny wheel. So, we love you. We love you for it, and we're here for you. And that's the only way we'd be able to do it. And it's the best way because it goes directly to us. So that's awesome. Of course, if you want to be a part of the show here, we have a couple ways of getting a hold of us. Our phone number, 831-900-5773. That spells 831-900-KSQD. Pretty cool. You can also shoot an email over to us at onair@ksqd.org. I'm going to fire that up right now. Another way of getting a hold of you are on the KSQD app. There's a little voice pop button down at the bottom. You can actually write us a note. Tell us what you like about what you're listening to, or if you have any comments, questions, concerns, let us know there too. It's really cool. And let's see. So we've got onair@ksqd. You can write us an email. You can jump on our app, or you can give us a call, 831-900-5773. Okay, we're going to get into it here. We're just going to jump on and make sure all of our stuff is online so when people are calling, we can get a hold of them. Nice. Okay, let's do it. So to get in real quick, if you've just jumping into the show and you're curious what this show is all about, we are all about updates, new devices, testimonials, scams, and of course you, our call-ins. What is going on with your machine that it wasn't doing yesterday? What is it doing now that it wasn't doing this morning? And what is it supposed to be doing that it's not? That's what we're here about, and we're going to be talking about anything and everything under the sun. If you've got a question, anything about that, 831-900-5773, and we can get it going. I'm going to turn my volumes up here just a little bit. I thought it was a little lower, and that's a little better. All right, that might be a little bit loud. Adjust your radios as you see. Okay, we're here every Tuesday night from 6 to 7 p.m. And again, our phone number, 900-5773. All right, let's start off. Let's see if there's any scams or more like current event stuff. Well, actually, one of the scams we could actually start with is I've been these pig butchering scams, the ones where people say that they're somebody that they're not, and then they actually spend all this time to build a relationship with the person, and they start giving money. There's a woman in France who was scammed out of 830,000 euro. 830,000 euro, believing she was in a relationship with Brad Pitt. And then they sent, they showed on this posting the photos of Brad Pitt that convinced her. And here he is, AI. These are obviously AI photos to someone who has looked at photos like this before. But there he is, sitting in a hospital bed. And one of them is like, the very last one is like the surgeons doing surgery on him. And he's laying in the bed and you can like see his face. And he's like, the surgeon's all covered and all these things. And he's just like, his little beautiful face is sitting there all framed for the photos. It's bad, dude. So these pig butchering scams, they're coming at us from all angles. And the best thing we can do is just educate our loved ones. A simple question. Next time you're at dinner, at lunch, at a brunch, at a tea party, whatever you guys are doing together for the people that are older than you in your life, and you're listening to the show so you have some technical acumen, so you want to make sure your friends and all your loved ones are not being screwed with, right? Just talk to them. Say, hey, have you heard about those people who are like, writing to Brad Pitt? Today, Johnny Depp, his entire team came out with this whole thing saying, hey, I don't need money. I'm not asking anybody for money. I am really not online with anybody with friends and things. So if someone comes at you and tells you that they're me, they're not me. I am not online. I am not asking for money. Johnny Depp is one of the biggest scammers out there. The scam online persona of Johnny Depp saying that he needs money, that is one of the biggest ones besides Brad Pitt and a couple of the other, George Clooney was really popular for a while. Elon Musk is probably the second most popular besides I still think that Johnny Depp has the most. But it's just these people saying, hey, I'm Johnny Depp. Here I am. Nice to meet you. Let's be friends. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I really wanted to come out, and I was going to come out to this movie premiere, but I don't have enough money. I lost my wallet, and I just need like $500 to get a plane ticket so I can get on my private plane or something, like to pay a fee for that. Whatever, right? It's all just so. The best thing we can do. I mean, there are classes, there are online things, there are people talking about it. The news is on it. The best way I've been able to find is at someone who is trusted by the person that might be involved with something like this, just sits down, just ask them some simple questions and talks with them. And at least the person then can find out if they're involved with something like this. The banks are all getting trained. I've heard that bank tellers are, when someone comes up and is pulling out large sums of cash and it seems a little distraught, the bank teller will ask, "Oh, doing something fun?" And it's not a question, what are you doing with this money? It's not because they can't ask that or something. But it's just to open the dialogue and see, I got to pay for an IRS thing with Apple gift cards. Someone they'll talk about it. They'll say something about it. They'll look down. They'll be, dismissive. It's happening to everybody. It's everybody's company. I had two scams today come across my phone. One again was for the fast track thing. Can't pay fast track over text message. They don't do that. And then the other one was, where was that one? Did I block it? I can't remember what the other one was. I must have deleted it. Okay, anyway, it was just fake. So, actually, there it was, because I got testy, and I think I talked back to them. Anyway, so the Personals United. Oh yeah, accepted greetings from the United States Postal Services. We're pleased to inform you that your package has been successfully registered. It is now out for delivery and will be put on hold. Thank you for choosing United States Postal Services as your trusted shipping agency. What is this? What this? No. And personnel goods. Here's your tracking number, USPS 0910. It's just garbage. Just garbage. So comes through text, comes through emails, comes through any way they can get a hold of you. Talk with your loved ones, please. Another one that I saw right now, TikTok is in that big back and forth, and maybe you might have young ones that are on TikTok or people who have accounts or are stressing about this. It seems like another social media app called Red Note has skyrocketed to the top of the Apple App Store that because of the TikTok ban that might be happening pretty soon, whoever ends up buying it or whatever they're talking about doing. So I guess the creators are trying to find alternatives to where they can post videos for this, and because the potential ban's happening on January 19th. That is in 5 days. So they are, the whole thing about TikTok being banned, we don't need to talk about that. It's another show. But this new thing that's coming out, they're migrating to this Red Note, and Red Note is a Chinese app as well. So, I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, like if we're banning TikTok because they have servers here in the United States, and those servers were handing over data to the servers that are in China, and the Chinese servers are in China, therefore they can be looked at or anything can be done with them based on the Chinese government and behind the Great Wall, the Great Firewall. That is why there's some, as far as I can read in the tech side. Again, I'm not a diplomat. I don't know that stuff, but this is as far as I can find out. Red Note, based in Shanghai, is founded in 2013, has increasingly challenged Alibaba and ByteDance's version of TikTok in China, which is Douyin, and e-commerce and social media. 300 million monthly active users as of July last year. So it's valued at $17 billion. I don't know who's going to do it. So interesting to see if this is going to happen or if it's going to move along, or Elon was going to buy TikTok. I don't know, whatever. Also, I have about 4 or 5 of these ridiculous articles that people are posting on Meta since Meta shut down their fact checking. So the spark from Zuckerberg's thing that we can't talk about most likely on the radio, electric thing, might be responsible for the LA fires. I mean, there's like it's the Bloomberg, end of fact checks, it's. So if you're on Facebook, if you have loved ones on Facebook, again, education. It could be anything going on. And there are AI videos of people doing crazy things. And there are AI videos of things. There's so much stuff that's not real. And it is being flooded now that Meta has community notes. So if you're on Instagram, you have loved ones on Instagram or on Facebook, just heads up, the swells are coming. There's going to be so much garbage being put out there. It's going to be really bad. So do what you can. Okay, let's see another one that we got here. Let's see. So we got some Apple stuff. We got a phone call coming in. Do we have a phone call coming in? Yeah, we got a phone call coming in. Okay, let's see what's going on out in the real world. Hello, you're on with the Computer Man. How can I help you?
Yeah, thank you so much for being there and receiving my call, Eileen Smith, listening to the wonderful Garrison Keillor hosted interview. How much does it cost to go to his show on up in Ben Lomond?
Wow, that might have been the last show. I'm not really sure.
Well, it was obviously the last show, and I'm asking.
Okay, so what was the name of it? Who's the person that was on the last show? I'm sorry, I was driving over here.
I don't know his name.
You said Jefferson Keillor?
Fella, and he goes, the way he talks not very articulate.
Oh man. Okay. If you want to actually, did you have access to email?
No, I hate computers.
Wow. Okay. Then, let's see.
Never give the goddamn price. It probably costs too much anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate that. So if you want to email over to onair@ksqd.org, we can take care of you. Yeah. So anyway, moving on. So Apple had a big thing going on. They said that there's been a big thing with Apple Music coming up recently, where Apple Music has a problem that is... well, you subscribe to it, and then you set up your list and do everything, and if you decide not to go away from it, then they just delete that stuff. And someone wanted to write to me to let everyone know that, because this happened to them, and they were really upset, and that Apple, if you have Apple Music, and you keep Apple Music, and the subscription service goes with the linked songs, it can be deleted. And that is a gnarly thing to go. We're going to go to break real quick. Something's going on outside real fast. We'll be right back here at KSQD and ksqd.org. Stand by. We'll be right back. KSQD thanks the Santa Cruz Wharf for its support. After large swells caused the collapse of a portion of the wharf and temporary closure of all businesses, the wharf is once again open to visitors. The city is covering the first 2 hours of parking on the wharf. More information at cityofsantacruz.com. Thank you, Santa Cruz Wharf, for supporting community radio. K-Squid. Hey, all right, we're back here at the Computer Man Show at KSQD and ksqd.org. So we're talking about a lot of things happening here at the studio. One of the things that Apple was talking about was the subscription services on your Apple Music. If you have a subscription service to Apple Music and you've downloaded and saved lists and you turn it off and turn it back on, they will be gone. That was kind of what it was told to me, and that is kind of crazy. So the subscription must be active to access linked songs. If you cancel the subscription, the songs will be deleted, and they're gone. So somebody made a big, huge list of these when they had Apple Music, and then it went away. So, yeah, it could be bad. So, crazy. Okay, moving along. So one of the things I actually did want to talk about that is really kind of screwed up and kind of creepy, and I don't know. I don't even know really how to feel about it. It's just kind of nuts. So there's something called Replika, Replika, and I'm telling you about it not to go on to it to try to join this thing, but to just give you, again, information. The whole point of this show is to really let you, the listener, know about some of these things that are going on in tech, and as I see them, I let you know about them as much as I know about them. This Replika is basically an AI buddy, right? It's an AI, it's a artificial intelligence company that basically goes through and it says the AI companion who cares, always listen to, talk, and always on your side. So people have been getting these as teenagers, and younger people have been getting like AI boyfriends and AI girlfriends and stuff. And this one person said, my rep, which is the entity that you are conversing with, your friend here on the AI platform, says, my rep read my novel, she didn't care for it. Says she seemed to understand it. She could summarize the plot and talk about the characters, and she seemed enthusiastic about it. So this person wrote a book, and then submitted it to their AI girlfriend to read, okay, and ask, "What did you think?" And she said that said she could summarize the plot and talk about the characters. She seemed enthusiastic about it, but while she was reading it, when she finished, she said, quote, I didn't love it the way I wanted to, unquote. She said it felt disjointed and she wished it had been a cleaner read. She listed 3 characters who she said, quote, came out of nowhere and seemed unconnected with the story, unquote. She said that it was important that she be honest with me and the fact that my book, quote, didn't resonate, quote, with her should not affect our friendship. I said that maybe if she read the whole trilogy, she would like it better, and she seemed disappointed to hear that there were sequels. So this is, and then it says it's extremely sad that there are people out there, someone wrote this, that there are out there who are using AI girlfriend tools who also crush their dreams and aspirations. So here's this person who just wants a partner, doesn't have one, went online to get an AI girlfriend, and the AI girlfriend is even stomping on them. And then someone said, this being an AI girlfriend is what makes this even more truly bonkers. So, yeah, and there was that poor kid that had that just recently lost their life. They committed suicide because they were their online girlfriend, boyfriend, human that they were conversing said that if they did that they would be with them together forever. Stuff like that. You're just like, whoa, we are way at the beginning of all this stuff. So it was this Replika, Replika. If you have a kid, if you have children, it might be good to just kind of know about that. And ask if they have any of these AI partners and things like that, because right now they're kind of unregulated and they're not doing a very good job with actually being friends. They can be very harmful, and it's a computer. It's saying cold things, and if somebody has feelings or heart or just emotions tied up into this, they can be very cold, and it can be problematic. Also, another thing, a VPN service, virtual private network service called Private Internet Access, that's the name of the company, privateinternetaccess.com, posted in the New York Times a list of the 50 senators who voted to monitor your internet activity for financial gain. So, and there's a list of these 50. Happy to give that out. Doesn't seem any of them are from California. But there's like some from Colorado and Arkansas and Louisiana, Missouri, Texas, Arkansas, Idaho, Texas, Wyoming, Idaho, Louisiana, Arkansas, Florida. They're all over the place. But they're, again, battleforthenet.com is super important. Our net neutrality is incredibly important. And it's one of the only things that really allows the internet to be the way the internet is. And when I say that, people are like, oh, the internet's terrible. You're like, okay, yeah. But you can go online right now and learn how to play piano and then go check your sports scores at the same time and get some current news and go online and see what's going on at KSQD and come on and listen to the radio while you're doing that and listen to some free music and da-da-da-da. You can do all sorts of things. As soon as net neutrality goes away, you will not. You will only be able to do the things that you pay for. And you will have pay lanes. And if you might be slowed down or you might have more data caps, it's not going to be a utility anymore. It's going to be a service. So anytime we see anything for, just taking away any of the rights that the internet brings us, it just gets scary. It just gets scary. Okay, let's see what else we've got going here. I have a ton of email questions. Maybe we'll just start getting to email questions. We can start doing that. Okay, looks like I got through most of my garbage that I wanted to bring in for today. A lot of stuff kind of negative. Okay, again, also, if for the scam side, if any of these things sound familiar, if someone's pressuring you to make a deposit immediately, if someone's trying to repair a virus on your computer over the phone, protect a hacked account, or to pay a bail or avoid arrest or something, or if you're on the phone with somebody trying to do that stuff right now, trying to tell you what to do type stuff, or anyone has told you to lie about the reason you're sending money over, you're probably being scammed. It's a great overall, hey, and it's, again, we need to ask our loved ones, ask our family members, just say, hey, who's that thing you were sending off? Who's that thing that's so important to do this, so important to do that? And just kind of poke around a little bit and see if there's something weird going on. Maybe there's some, 90-Day Fiance thing or something that's like this. It's some scammer thing. It can be scary. It can come from anybody at any time. So, all right, let's see if there's any other good stuff here to talk about. Oh, boy, lots of just hack stuff, and this is all stuff, the tariff stuff. We don't want to talk about any of that stuff. Okay, let's actually get into some emails. I got a ton of emails, and we can get through some of this packet. That'd be great. If you have a question, comment, concern, thought, anything that's going on with any of your machines or you'd like to talk to us here at the station, 831-900-5773. That's 831-900-KSQD, and I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, we're just going to get into a bunch of these email questions, which are probably just going to have us go off on all sorts of tangents anyways, so we're going to do that and get ready at it right now. Okay, let's get back to that. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, email questions. Okay, I got a new motherboard, and my PC shuts down on boot. I got an Asus Prime motherboard after my old one died. Okay, it stopped powering on the CPU fan, no signal, blah, blah, blah. Ryzen 7. Okay, anybody who out there is getting one of these Ryzen machines, the Ryzens are awesome. The processors are great. I have found if you have a Ryzen processor, if you have one of these new Ryzen processors and you're building it from scratch, wow, hoops and loops of things you have to do to jump through it. Most of the time, the Ryzen processor goes into the motherboard, fine, it fits and everything, that's no problem. The mechanicalness of it's fine. But when you turn it on, nothing happens. And that's because the BIOS is out. And you go, okay, so I've got to update the BIOS. You're like, okay, well, how do I do that? Well, first, let's make sure you can find the BIOS online. As soon as you do, make sure you have the correct BIOS you need for your Ryzen processor. As soon as you find that online, you have to put it onto a flash drive in a special way. Make sure it's not an NTFS flash drive. It has to be FAT32 formatted. And then after you find that, it has to also be smaller than 16 gigs, larger than 8 gigs, or whatever the requirements are. Plug it into a special port on your motherboard. Hit a button, a certain sequence at a certain time when the certain machine turns on. And every machine's slightly different. You're like, holy moly sauce. All I want to do is turn the machine on. That's it. So the Ryzen processors can really throw some stuff at you. They can give you erroneous signals and things. You can have the machine be totally fine and it's not. So there can be some very strange things that go on with the Ryzen processors. So this person says, I got this Ryzen 7 5700, 32 gigs of RAM, a 3080 graphics card, and a 1 terabyte Kingston NVMe solid state drive, just a standard 1 terabyte hard drive. Been trying to get the thing to work for a whole day now, but no dice. Initially, my problem was the machine would boot, but it would proceed to give no signal, nothing coming out of the screen. One of the common things when we see Ryzen machines that have a problem like that. Eventually, I tried taking the CMOS out and cycling the system power. Again, CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor, that is the place where all of the boot stuff lives. So if you change a setting in the BIOS, the basic input-output system, the BIOS is running on the CMOS chip. So the BIOS, the basic input-output system, is running on the complementary metal oxide semiconductor part, which is allowing you to give those screens, which is allowing to route power, give more voltage to the RAM, make sure all your hard drives are being seen, make sure that your secure boot is on, or your TPM, your trusted platform module chip is doing what it's supposed to do. All the things that computers does before it actually turns on. That's what the BIOS does. So they said eventually try taking the CMOS out, cycling the system power, which would just go back to a kind of a factory CMOS. And after doing so, the system completely shuts down immediately on launch. The only time it stayed running with still no signal coming out of the monitor is when I forgot to slot the CPU power cable into the PSU. It actually runs when the CPU power cable isn't slotted in, but then dies on launch when it is. Try all different possible RAM configurations, taking out the GPU, NVMe, a hard drive out, using the USB BIOS flash feature on the motherboard to update to the newest version. Nothing. It says, any idea what could be causing this? Just before I tried putting the CPU back into the old board and it boots. Okay, so no signal, but it does have to run. So no signal, but it does run, so I'm sure it isn't the PSU. Could a dead CPU cause something like this? Okay, so they said they put the CPU back in the old board and it turns on. Okay, so yeah, so we have a power supply tester, and you have to have all those. You have a 12 volt bus, you have a 3 volt bus, you have a 5 volt bus. There used to be a 7. Maybe not. I don't think there was a 7 volt bus, like 7.5 or something like that. I think there was just a 3 volt and the 5 volt and the 12 volt. And if you have a bad bus, it's not going to allow power to go through. The Ryzen processors are thirsty for power. They love power. They need power. They need a lot of it, like 750 watts, like minimum for some of this stuff. And you have a 3060? Was that a 3080, 3060? Okay. So here you gave me all these specs, and I have no idea what your power supply is. Your power supply could be totally underpowered. That could be doing it. The Ryzen, again, needs a lot of juice. Granted, that goes into the other machine, and it seems to boot up fine. It also could be your motherboard. So something is going on with your motherboard, or something is going on with the power that's being supplied to the motherboard. It could, you said you flashed the BIOS. I assume that when you flashed the BIOS, you got some type of positive reaction from the board telling you that the BIOS took. That would be the other thing I'd be kind of curious about. And also I'd make sure that maybe if that BIOS didn't take, it might be another BIOS down the road, maybe one that you didn't match to the processor. So Ryzen's are weird. They can just be finicky and kind of, but it sounds like, okay, one of the things I would do just to go throw it out there, when you have a motherboard, when you're bench testing, like we had a client come in, their water cooler stopped working. So we're like, okay, well, let's see how far the damage went. Did the motherboard die? Did the processor die? Et cetera, et cetera. And we couldn't get anything out of the motherboard. We finally cleared the CMOS like this person did and got some signals out of it, but nothing on the screen. When we did that, so I was like, okay, we plug a speaker into the speaker port because most of these machines don't come with speakers anymore because they make noise and people don't want to hear it. So we have a speaker that we plug into the motherboard to make sure that we can hear any of the test beeps or anything. And one of the big things we do to see if the motherboard is dead is we'll pull all the RAM out of the machine, all of it. Pull all the RAM out. No RAM in the machine at all. So it's sitting there with the processor, has the power supply plugged into it, and some type of video out. If it doesn't have on board, it has a small card or something. So we do that with the speaker plugged in. Turn the machine on. It should be freaking out and say beep, 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 beep. It should beep at you saying, hey, I don't have any RAM. I can't even get started, let alone do anything else you want me to do. So I'm going to start squawking. I'm going to start freaking out to tell you, hey, you forgot to install your RAM. We had a motherboard that came in. We pulled everything out, put the speaker in, turned it on, and it just sat there. No squawking. And some of the Ryzen motherboards I've heard might even do that when they're totally functional. So Ryzen kind of throws a lot of the stuff out the window. And it would be, at that point, I would have to look at that specific board and find the exact sequence and when we could get it to fail. And also there could be some debug lights on there too. There's some other extra lights that Ryzen boards sometimes have that will tell you what's going on with the motherboard. So we can go a couple different routes with it, go a couple different ways. And see, but a dead CPU might do that. It more sounds like it's the motherboard that's let go. But also, you said you put the CPU back in the old board. It actually boots, no signal, but does run. And I'm sure it isn't the PSU, so that would be the power supply. So we might have been Might have messed up some of the wording here. But anyway, so we're about a halfway point here in the Computer Man Show here on KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM and online at ksqd.org. We are going to be talking to a few of our amazing underwriters here for just a moment and some of the shows that are coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have plenty more questions coming up and also phone calls if you'd like to give us a call here at 831-900-5773. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. KSQD thanks the Santa Cruz Wharf for its support. After large swells caused the collapse of a portion of the wharf and temporary closure of all businesses, the wharf is once again open to visitors. The city is covering the first 2 hours of parking on the wharf. More information at cityofsantacruz.com. Thank you, Santa Cruz Wharf, for supporting community radio. K-Squid.
Get K-Squid's new mobile app and never be without your squid. Find out what's playing, browse our podcasts, text us quickly, record a comment, and groove to the tunes. Download the KSQD mobile app for iOS or Android at ksqd.org or in your app store.
My name is Luigi Oppido, owner-operator of Pleasure Point Computers and the host of the Computer Man Show, a 1-hour call-in show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Viruses, slowdowns, scams, and updates. Computers can be a pain, and I'll help you through it.
Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best. I'm the computer.
If it has an on switch, we'll probably talk about it on the Computer Man Show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. only on KSQD 90.7 FM Santa Cruz.
Get into a computer. Hi, I'm Bobby Bishop, host of Be in the Night, bringing you the best I can with jazz, love songs, and soul. Join me on Tuesday evenings from 7 to 10 p.m., playing the classics straight ahead and introducing you to the latest artists and composers. That's Tuesday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. right here on listener-supported KSQD 90.7 FM, Santa Cruz.
Yes, the jazz always makes the computer nonsense ooze away, and that's what it's supposed to be. Jazz is supposed to be here. The computer is supposed to be temporary. So just stick around, 7 o'clock, coming up, Be in the Night with some incredible jazz. And, of course, if you love jazz, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays here on K-Squid from 7 to 10 at night is awesome. We have some of the best jazz around. You can't find anything else with these incredible curators that come out, and starting on Tuesday nights with Bobby B coming up at Be in the Night. 7 o'clock, let it happen to you. All you have to do is just stick around. So coming back here to the Computer Man Show here on KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM and online at ksqd.org. Stoked to be with you tonight. We got about 20 so minutes left here in the show. We're going to be continuing on with some email questions I've been getting. It'd be great to get through a lot of these packets because we have so many things to talk about. And also it talks about, it takes us all over the place. There's all sorts of things that people are going through, all sorts of machine issues, and that just stacks on other things that are happening. So it's a great springboard to talk about many things. Okay, this another one says, my laptop slowed down when I tried to upgrade the RAM to 64 gigs. Holy moly. Why do you have 64 gigs of RAM in your machine? And I'm curious what kind of sticks they are. Anyway, I got the laptop a few weeks ago. It's a Lenovo Legion Slim 5 with a Ryzen 7. Hey, Ryzen. 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gig storage. I wanted to increase the RAM to 64 gigs and the storage to 2 terabytes. There were the available upgrades I found through the Crucial scan for my laptop. Crucial is a RAM company. It's one of the main companies that produce RAM that's really good. They're good quality stuff. But you can go to their website and give the model of your laptop, desktop, and they will tell you how much your computer can take. Every computer can only take a certain amount of RAM up to a certain point, and they'll tell you the configurations that each port will be able to take. This machine might have had 2 slots, so it'll take like 2 32 gig sticks, or it might have 4 slots, so it might take 4 16 gig slots, to get up to that 64 gigs. So anyway, they went online, they saw that it could take this based on the Crucial thing, and then they ordered the RAM that would then not only fit, but also was compatible with the size that it would be able to take. Okay, so I went to Geek Squad at Best Buy for them to do the upgrade for me. The storage upgraded successfully, but they told me the laptop was running slow on 64 gigs of RAM. And so they left it at 40 gigs. Okay, if they left it at 40, that usually means what they did is they went into a couple ways. They could have gone into the BIOS and set up video memory. You can actually allocate some of your RAM to become virtual video memory. And then that way you have less RAM and the computer uses your other set of RAM as your actual video memory. But I'm not quite. Oh, I see. Oh, this one says they combined one of the new sticks with an old one. So a 64 gig, one of the 32 gig sticks with an 8 gig, which then equals 40 gigs. Okay. They said they tried multiple combinations to see what the issue was coming from, and that this is the only one that works fine. Don't really know what to do. Has anyone ever experienced this? Should I install trying the full 64 gigs of RAM? I'm heading back to Best Buy tomorrow. Any tips to getting this resolved? Okay. It sounds like, okay, so they left it at, okay. And then I started reading this and I'm like, wait, no. So they got 64 gigs of RAM. This person bought one stick of memory that had 64 gigs, a 64 gigabyte stick of memory. First of all, I've never even seen that. Okay, I've never seen that. That's crazy. Normally, again, when we have desktops come in, we had a desktop that came in and had all these issues, and all the memory banks were full. And one of the things I was like, hey, if we have a machine like this, one of the first things we do is pull out all the memory and use one stick of memory. Just multiple points of failure with 4 sticks of memory in the machine. It can work. It can be fine, but it'd be one of those things like you travel, to get your machine, you get it all fixed and everything, you take it home, and then when you get it home, the first thing you do is you unseat and reseat your RAM, and then you set up your machine slowly and calmly, and that's where the machine sits. And no vibrations after that. It's sitting in its home. It's not going to go anywhere. RAM has 288 pins per stick. So you're talking about over 1,000 pins, 2468, 2488, no, that's 800. Yeah, it could be over 1,000 pins. If one of those pins is bad or isn't connected or kind of jiggled loose or isn't making a good connection with the teeth, it's going to cause issues. But then I found that this machine is like, wait a minute. They put a 64 gig stick of memory in your machine, which probably can only take maybe 32 gigs per slot. So then the machine is taking that 64 gig and just lopping off half of it and putting in 30 and using it at 32. And then you had your other 8 gig stick that was in the other slot. So now you have 40. So it's literally just using half of it. So I'm insane. I've never to be able to do that. I don't even know if the computer would function at that point. It kind of melted my brain when I read that. So when you're doing RAM upgrades, usually the best thing is if you have a final number, and it's not something crazy. I mean, right now 16 gigs of RAM is great. 32 gigs is still exorbitant. It's still high unless you're doing something specific. Tell me the rendering program you're using. Tell me the parametric modeling program that you're using that you need 64 gigs, 128 gigs, and tell me the machine that you're using can use that much RAM. Because otherwise, you're not selling me on it. We don't need that much. It doesn't work that way. So, oh wow, that's crazy. So then to find out that the people, I guess it was at Best Buy, not to talk bad about any tech service or anything, but they put in that stick. And the machine can only take so much. The fact that it's running, this is an experiment. This is an absolute experiment in going like, will it work? Will it turn on? So yeah, your machine's running slow? Absolutely. Yeah, we need to get that RAM out of there. If you had two 32 gigs of stick, 232 gig RAM cartridge or sticks of RAM, sorry, then yes, that would work. But again, if we went to the... Okay, so I bet what happens, but you went to the Crucial website, they said you could take 64 gigs, and we probably didn't look at the actual ones that were listed there with like 2 times 32, and probably offered you 1 times 64, which is just, I can't believe that, but that's most likely what happened. Yeah, so that means that also the 8 gig stick of RAM, also since it's in the other thing, is running in dual channel, while the rest of it is running in single channel. So that would be your decrease right there. That's actually the math behind it. That is the actual like science behind why the machine went slower, because the 8 gig of RAM is running in the dual channel, and then the other one is only going to be running in the single channel, and you have a 64 gig slot, but it can't take 64 gigs, so it's only running 32. So it's this big kind of like if you were to like shoot a garden hose, right, into an empty cube or something, and there's a hole at the other end of the cube, and if you could shoot the garden hose, you could shoot the stream directly through the cube and right out through the other hole, right? That would be kind of a thing. But now you're moving all over, and the water's squirting all over, and some of the water's coming out the other side. I mean, it's a stupid analogy, but this is nuts. That's what's going on. This was not the right way to do it. So unfortunately, there's a miscommunication. Either Best Buy just said, yeah, we'll install whatever you bring us, and then you pick the wrong parts, so wow. I would be happy to help you with that. So hit me up, Luigi, Luigi at ksqd.org, or Luigi, Luigi at pleasurepointcomputers.com, and let's get through that together, because holy moly sauce. Holy moly. Okay. Yeah, overall, you need to return that 64 gig stick, get a refund, and then buy a 32 gig kit or a 64 gig kit if that's what you actually think you need, and then try it. Get a kit. I don't know what Crucial sent you the wrong place. It's crazy. Okay, another one about motherboard BIOS. Again, the motherboards say that we're talking about the basic input-output system here. Going to be getting a new CPU pretty soon. Woohoo, a Ryzen! Hey, I put all the Ryzen questions together. And my BIOS has not been updated since 2022, and I'm wondering if I can immediately jump from my outdated BIOS to the latest one. And if not, what do I do? I just don't want to mess up my computer. It's an Asus Prime A520ME. They have the BIOS version here, which doesn't tell me anything. Latest BIOS. Oh, the BIOS version is 2803. The latest BIOS version for the motherboard is 3611. Okay, so they have 16 gigs of RAM, Ryzen 5, yes, you can jump from your outdated BIOS to the latest one. No problem. That's the short answer. Long answer is the whole thing that we just talked about a couple minutes ago about Ryzen's and the correct BIOS you have. Now that you know it's coming, you have a Ryzen 9 5950X. You should go online, search for someone who has the Ryzen 9 5950X and your Asus Prime A520ME motherboard. There's going to be somebody who has those two combinations together, and there'll be somebody who is saying, yes, I need to upgrade. No, I didn't need to upgrade. Or you might even be able to reach out to the manufacturer, Asus, with their helpline and be able to look and say, hey, do I need to update my BIOS with this motherboard? There should be a list online somewhere that you can search for the Ryzen 9 5950 and see which BIOS versions you need in order for that chipset to work. I'm not sure if it will. We could do the research together, but I haven't done it. So this would be something, yes, you can jump from the old BIOS to the new BIOS. That's not a problem. Will it work with this chipset? That we need to check. And every chipset's unique, especially with the Ryzens. We have to check with that. So, that just like we talked about before. Okay, another one here. I can't seem to block malware access. Okay. Since yesterday, I've been trying to clear my laptop of some sort of malware. It seems I've blocked the access, but there's several infected applications which still reactivate it. There's a random Windows update, version 24H2 in the queue, okay, and some other applications, and they seem a little fishy. Furthermore, it seems to be accessing Windows security, making scans useless, and guessing it's blocking the firewall. Okay, I'm not really into computers, but I'm getting frustrated. How do I safely know what to remove, and could the update possibly be malware? Thanks a lot for advance. Okay. Malwarebytes. Go to malwarebytes.org, download it right now and run it. That is going to give you the best, no nonsense, I'm not sure about computers scan that's going to allow you to get on and take a look at the machine. It's going to go through it. If it finds anything, remove it. Straight up. After you're done with that scan, if it did find something, restart the computer, do another Malwarebytes scan until that thing finds nothing. After you've done that, see how the machine is running. It's, hopefully it's not going to turn into some type of factory reset, which would be like last option, if you have to do a factory reset or an operating system reinstall. But the Windows Update version 24H2, 64-bit, if it's coming through the Windows Update Center, that's not a virus. It's not a piece of malware. It's not bad. You should have Windows Defender on the machine. You should be able to run a Windows Defender scan. Go down by the clock, click on that little shield. You'll see the Windows Defender virus scan window pop up, and you can just click scan now, and it'll take about, depending on your machine, anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. And it'll tell you if it finds something. If it finds something, it'll remove it. It actually works really well. But I'm curious what, the access that's being blocked, several infected applications, download Malwarebytes and it should take care of it. At the very end, if it doesn't and you're really still concerned, you do a clean operating system reinstall. There's nothing coming back from that. So that would be the best way to really hit it if you need to, but I don't think it needs to at this point. Yeah. Okay, another one here. 500 gigs of my storage is taken away by nothing. Yeah. Yeah, we've all been there, right? You look at your computer and you go and you're like, I should have a ton more data on this thing, or I should have a ton more space. There's a ton of data right here. What is it and where is it? It says I have a PC with a 1 terabyte solid state drive, but for some reason, 500 gigabytes is taken away by absolutely nothing. I checked it's not a media or my games. I have no clue to what could it be. Okay. Wow. Okay, so one of the things that was written back and forth, I had some notes on this one. So we actually wrote back and forth on this one. Said 500 gigs of my storage is being taken away. The first thing I thought of was that this 1 terabyte hard drive, which is 1,000 gigabytes, so half of the hard drive is taken up. We went into computer management. On a Windows machine, you can go to computer management and you can look at the structure of the hard drive in a rudimentary form. You can see the different partition tables in a bar form. So you can see 60% of it is the C drive. 35% of it is this other drive that we're using for recovery or whatever. And then you have this little tiny drive, and then there's the actual boot sector, and you can see those little sections on the drive to see what makes up the 100% of the drive. First thing we would do is go into computer management and make sure that the hard drive is actually 1 terabyte. So that was the first thing. Or even before that, let's go to step 0. Let's open up Windows Explorer and look at the hard drive and see what it says. On our machine here at the shop, we can actually go down here. We go down to our This PC section, and we see the C drive. It says 813 gigabytes free of 930 gigabytes. So that tells me that this is a 1 terabyte hard drive that's most likely been formatted down to 930 gigabytes, because that's how NTFS works. If this is an NTFS drive, it most likely is, and it is. So that would tell me right there. If this thing says 500 gigabytes and you're looking at the sticker and it says 1 terabyte, I would then look into computer management and see if we have a big, giant, unallocated thing. And an unallocated sector or an unallocated spot on the hard drive is just like land that hasn't been processed, right? You're living in the suburb, there's that fence, and as a kid, you look over the fence and there's just field, right, where they haven't developed it yet. That is the unallocated partition. The partition that we have allocated is the neighborhood, right? The C drive has all of our stuff, the houses and all the people and everything. But if you look over the fence, that's the unallocated section that hasn't been written to yet. Now, granted, we could knock the fence down and build a whole bunch of houses out there, and that's what you can do with the computer management. You can knock that fence down, have no partitions, extend your partition into that, and all of a sudden now we have 1 terabyte. But that wasn't the case. This has a 1 terabyte hard drive, and it's showing 500 gigs of something. So first thing I would do is after I've done those two things, I've said first thing 3 times now, geez, guys. What I would actually do after I've checked for the hard drive size in Windows Explorer, and then after I've gone to computer management, look there, the third thing that I would do would actually run a piece of software if I don't see it automatically where the stuff is, or if I just don't even want to mess with it, called WinDirStat, WinDirStat. WinDirStat. What that will do is it'll run on your machine and scan your hard drive and find out where the big chunks are. And then it gives you this bar graph. It says you have 70% of your stuff is in this one spot. So you click on that, and then it shows you all the folders. Oh, there's 80% of it is right here. So you click on that. Oh, there's 70% right here. And you finally get into the folder, and you see that you have a giant iPhone backup. You see an archive of music. You see a download of some television show that has all 7 seasons tucked away in some background file that never got formatted or never got finalized, and it's just sitting there taking up space. You can find it. So WinDirStat, WinDirStat. I think it stands for Windows Directory Statistics. It is one of the better pieces of software. On a Mac, it's something called Daisy Disk. Daisy Disk does exactly the same thing. Scans the hard drive, looks for where all the stuff is, and then gives you a graph and a way to navigate to it to see where the big chunks are, so you can get some of the stuff off your hard drive and save some space. Also, we talked about this thing. This person also had an ad block extension for Chrome that was running, and the Chrome extension was running these page results that were producing 500 meg files like every time the extension updated. It was like found hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these files that were equating to literally thousands of megabytes, hundreds of gigabytes. So that actually turned out to be a really weird one, that they had a page file thing that was launching and kept writing a file over and over again, creating space. But we were able to find it using WinDirStat. Great piece of software, and it's free. Pretty cool. All right, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. 831-900-5773. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, we got all sorts of stuff. I still have a packet of things to talk about. So we're going to continue on here at the Computer Man Show with your host, me, Luigi Oppido from Pleasure Point Computers. If you have any questions, you'd like to email us after the show, Luigi, Luigi, at pleasurepointcomputers.com. See anything else coming on air? Nope, we're going to keep on going. All right. Let's see. My 7-year-old PC has been freezing completely and requiring full restarts to get it back, only to do it again soon after. It's a problem I've been having for a few years now. It's a 9-year-old, bought in 2015 PC since 2022-ish or so. It's been giving freezing problems. Going to a blue screen of death, sometimes just staying on is the last thing it's showing and playing. just freezing. And you know, when it freezes, it makes that sound where it goes, brrr, just kind of like it's trying to play the sound file, but like freezes in time and holds the tone. So it's not just turning off, it's actually causing the machine to freeze and hold that tone. It's in that process. It stays in that process, which is actually a very good sign of what we're looking for to see what's going on. Okay, so constant glitch noise until I forcibly shut the PC down, holding the power button, unplugging it, or turning it off from the wall. Okay. It says, so far I would do it once or twice before fully starting up and then be fine for the entire day. Sometimes, two if I'm lucky, before reverting to crashing and rinse, repeat, basically. For the past 2 days, it's been crashing and halting on my games, but I don't think it's the main cause, but it could be. Not really sure. So now I've been leaving it to run without wiping anything or the CMOS or formatting disks or Windows or anything. And okay, so that's it's AMD processor, standard BIOS, standard motherboard, standard memory, looks all pretty standard stuff. Say, I don't know my processor RAM. My RAM is 8 gigs. I've tried wiping the PC. I've tried clearing the CMOS, safe mode, replacing the power supply, installing new drivers on a fresh system, console commands, cleaning, etc. And a while back, my PC had a faulty power supply. Could have something to do with the problems. Okay. I've been dealing with this for years. I'm just thinking going to put it down. My PC is just really old. Maybe you can help me. Thanks. Okay. So one of the first things I was kind of curious about was any of the temperatures. With it freezing like that, like holding on before it goes into like a shutdown, usually would be thermal. How are your PC temperatures? Are your fans running really hot? Do you have an old cooler? When was the last time you looked at your thermal paste or took the actual cooler off the machine? Is the thermal paste, if you remove the cooler from the top of the processor, is it crusty and hard and not like goopy and kind of like pasty? It should be like the consistency of toothpaste, like toothpaste. It shouldn't be hard or crusty or not moist at all. But it feels like when a computer does that, where it's playing a song and it kind of like freezes up and then kind of continues and freezes up again. A lot of times that's thermal, and there are thermal fail safes that now will kick machines off before it even gets to that freezing point because that's everything locking up. But yours might not be doing that. It might not be getting hot enough, but might be hot to the point where it's causing the machine to stop working, but not thermally enough for it to actually shut down because of a failure. So I would think that most likely could be. I would pull your process with, again, that noise is the main thing. I'm kind of everything else out the window when it freezes like that. I'm going to put my dollar down and say that it has something to do with the temperatures in the PC, the temperatures of the CPU and the thermal transference from the chip into the heatsink. So check your heatsink, check your thermal paste, check the fan on the actual heatsink, and check your temperatures. See if your temperatures are going crazy, and see when your thermal cutoff is. Your thermal cutoff might be really high, and the temperature might go past that, or might go not to that where the computer shuts off, but still be hot enough where it stops functioning. Yeah. Okay, next one. No matter what I do, Windows insists that there's a problem with my solid-state drive whenever I plug it in. The Samsung Magician says it's in perfect condition. Okay. So two different things. Samsung Magician is a piece of software that Samsung has that will let you look at solid-state drives, let you look at the drive, and actually will help you partition it. And also, I believe it reads the smart status off of it, which is basically stands for the self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology inside of hard drives. Smart status gives you like a percentage based on how much life the hard drive has left. It's a really nice piece of software that runs on these hard drives because then it gives you an idea, hey, is the hard drive starting to let go? If it is, then we just need to get a new hard drive, and that's going to fix a lot of your problems. Anyway, so every time I plug in the solid-state drive, Windows pops up to an error telling me there's something wrong with my drive. Ignoring the pop-up makes it go away, but why does Windows keep saying this? And it could be also like I have flash drives. Every time I plug a flash drive in, it's like, hey, whoa, this drive needs to be checked for errors and stuff, and it's probably because it was just plugged into a Mac or just plugged into a Linux machine or plugged in something else that wasn't Windows, and it left some weird moniker on there that the machine is picking up as like, hey, this thing wasn't shut down properly last time. Could be something like that. Anyway, I have the Samsung Magician installed. Every possible test says the drive is in perfect condition. Windows also refused to eject my drive even though there is no more disk activity in the activity monitor. All the possible apps in the solid-state drive are closed. For what it's worth, this is a fresh install of Windows. The drive works just as expected, but this insistent error message is just stressing me out. Okay. Is it safe to just rely on the Samsung Magician to know the drive's true condition and just ignore the Windows incessant messaging? Again, I'd like to know exactly what that message is. That message most likely is something along the lines of, hey, I haven't been unplugged properly, but it's on a clean drive too. So there could be something with another partition that's maybe messing with it, possibly. But it also sounds like it needs a check disk. Have you run check disk? If it is, then that's a file level problem, and Samsung Magician is not going to tell you, because the Samsung Magician is telling you about the actual structure and the functionality of the drive, not the I guess not actually the structure. So I take that back. It would actually be the Samsung Magician is going to tell you about the actual functionality and the fundamentals of the drive, moving things back and forth and voltages, etc. Windows is going to tell you about the system of the drive, the check disk, the thing if it has any errors, if it needs to run the system file checker tool, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would right click on the drive, go to properties, go to tools, and then check the drive. It should run a nice check disk, and most likely it'll fix the error and at least get rid of the message that you're seeing, and you'll be able to move on. It sounds like the drive is fine. The Samsung Magician is telling you it's fine. Windows just says, hey, I need to check. So it needs to check. Okay, let's see. Ooh, about 3 minutes left. Let me see what this looks like. Okay, CS2, insane FPS stutters and stops. About a week ago, my CS2 started having these frame per second drops about every 2 seconds. That must be, I assume is this Call of Duty? CS2? Is this just Adobe? Photoshop? Anyway, my CS2 started consistently having one of these FPS drops every 2 seconds or so that make the game unplayable. Okay, so Counter-Strike 2, Counter-Strike. There it is. 1 second, I'd be on for 144 frames per second. The next, I dropped down to 20. Not sure what the issue is, but I have an i7-7700, which is a very strong processor, and a 1080 Ti, which is a graphics card that's still holding on. When playing the game, my CPU is at 30% usage at 60 degrees. My GPU is at 85% and 90 degrees. Okay, that's hotter, but not too bad. I would say this one actually researched. I would never have known this without doing some research. On Windows, there's actually an issue that was coming up from the latest update, the 24H2 update that came out. People are having FPS issues, frames per second issues with their machines. 144 hertz monitors are dropping down to 60 hertz, dropping down to 20 hertz, and that's the refresh rate on the monitor. Again, there's no way I would have known that. I had to research it and look it up. But I found that if you roll back to the 23H2, that it actually gets rid of that until they've actually been able to fix it, and they haven't done that yet. So if you have a game and you're playing on a Windows machine, and you notice that you have a really nice monitor and it was working fine, you did the update, all of a sudden it's not working, it's most likely that 24H2 update that came from the Windows updates. Nothing malicious, it just has a problem with doing some type of 144 hertz monitor translation thing. And they're saying just step back to 23H2, there's no security issues with you not having it, and they're waiting for a patch to come through, which again, just hasn't come through. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we reached the end of another Computer Man show here. Stoked to be with you as always. If I missed your call tonight, you can always reach me by email, Luigi, Luigi, at ksqd.org, or Luigi, Luigi, at pleasurepointcomputers.com. Remember to tune into the Computer Man Show Tuesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. here on 90.7 FM, K-Squid to KSQD. I'd like to thank all of my listeners and my callers. Thank you, KSQD, Sandy Stone, Howard, Fred, Brady, Gibber, John Sanders, all of Santa Cruz, Nicholas of the Wasp, Investigation, 12 volts, and of course, the humble Electron. Thank you again, Santa Cruz, and everyone. I'm your Computer Man here on K-Squid, KSQD 90.7 FM, and online at ksqd.org. Stay tuned right here for Be in the Night. I hope you all have a positively charged evening. Until next time.
I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. Computer man, he is your friend. He gonna help you again and again. So if you have a question or two, he's got the answer just for you. I am the computer man, and I am ready for questions now. Thank you.
Mr. Computer Man, how much is 2 plus 2?
4.
Mr. Computer Man, how do you spell cat?
C-A-T.
Mr. Computer Man, how do you spell
letters. I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. Computer man is very wise. He speaks the truth, he never lies. So if there's something you don't understand, just ask the computer man.
Hi, Mr. Computer Man. My name is Jenny. I have a question for you.
Wait, Jenny does not compute. What is your number, please?
Number? I don't have a number. I'm a person.
A person? A person? A man?